In the 5th year of our marriage, my husband had an affair. The other woman was the campus belle he had pursued but failed to win over in college. I calmly proposed a divorce. He was utterly shocked and furious. I've always considered your feelings and never brought her home. As women, how can you be so intolerant of her? The GU family is already bankrupt. Do you still think you're some high and mighty heiress? He gave me a disdainful once-over, sneered, and strode away. After that, he moved into a villa worth hundreds of millions, flaunting his affair with that Mistress Lee Sinny, even hosting lavish banquets where he brazenly declared, "Sinny is my white rose, the love of my life. GU Shusha will have to accept it, whether she likes it or not." Everyone was sighing and watching me become the butt of the joke. Without crying or making a scene, I calmly busied myself with handling various tasks, because just 2 months ago, my brother had made an overseas call to me. Thanks to my brother's efforts, our father was cleared of suspicion for bribing officials, and the GU group made a comeback, soon to be listed in Beijing. I was sitting on the sofa doing some handicrafts when the door suddenly swung open, and Lu Qingchen walked in reeking of alcohol. He staggered over to me, tossing the things in his hand aside, and said loudly, "Had a few extra drinks at the business dinner with President Wang today." I set down my handicrafts, stood up, and approached him. After loosening his tie, I poured him a bowl of sobering soup, still wasting time on those useless handicrafts. Lu Qingchen glanced at the craft materials on the table, his eyes full of disdain. I handed the empty bowl to the housekeeper, Aunt Kui, and explained gently, "Mrs. Liu is hosting a banquet next month, and she's quite interested in my handicrafts." "Oh," Lu Qingchen frowned slightly. "All those social niceties among wealthy wives, just thinking about them gives me a headache." He picked up the item he had tossed aside earlier and unwrapped it, revealing a Hermes bag. "You've been working hard managing the household lately. I went to the boutique specifically to pick out this Hermes bag for you. I heard it's the latest must-have among high society ladies." I took it and casually placed it on the storage shelf in the living room. "Aren't you going to try it on?" He froze for a moment, looking somewhat surprised. "For the first 5 years of our marriage, Lu Qingchen often gave me jewelry, skincare products, and designer clothes. I never wanted to dampen his enthusiasm, so even if I didn't particularly like them, I always acted pleasantly surprised and showered him with praise. Over the past year, he hasn't had the inclination to frequently buy me gifts or cheer me up. I haven't been trying to cater to his moods either." Noticing my indifference, his expression darkened briefly before he forced a smile and said, "Honey, are you still upset about me missing your birthday? Last month on the 18th was my birthday. He didn't return until after midnight that night, by which time I was already asleep. It was only when our housekeeper, Auntie Kui, reminded him that he remembered. The next morning, he left early for a business trip and didn't return until yesterday." I shook my head gently and spoke in a soft tone. "Honey, there's something I want to talk to you about." Lu Qingchen frowned deeply. As if he already knew what I was going to say, he cleared his throat and looked thoroughly impatient. "If it's about your father, don't bring it up again. Back then, I went against my family's wishes to marry you, sparing you from social pressure. I've already done more than enough. Shusha, you're just a housewife, spending all day drinking tea and admiring flowers with those wealthy ladies. How could you understand that business is like a battlefield and how hard it's been for me?" I listened to him silently until he finished, not interrupting when others are speaking, not cutting them off. These were the rules the GU family had instilled in me since childhood. "This matter concerns only you and me." I handed him the agreement in my hand as I finished speaking. Lu Qingchen let out a sigh of relief and smiled as he lowered his head to look through it. "You made it so serious. I thought you—" He suddenly stopped, staring wide-eyed at the agreement in his hands with an expression of disbelief. "Divorce agreement?" I nodded with a firm gaze. "That's right, a divorce agreement. Many people think so. Being Mrs. Lu Qingchen is an incredibly fortunate and blissful experience. 6 years ago, my family's GU corporation suddenly faced a crisis. My father was accused of bribing officials and taken away for investigation. Friends and relatives distanced themselves in droves, yet Lu Qingchen, defying public opinion, publicly proposed to GU Shusha. the heiress of the GU family. I heard his father even went on a hunger strike at home in protest, but ultimately failed to change his mind. As the meticulously groomed daughter of a business tycoon, I possess both beauty and talent, making me the most coveted daughter-in-law among elite families, in the eyes of many. If not for the sudden misfortune that befell my family, given my circumstances, even without a business marriage to the son of a tycoon, I could have married a wealthy self-made man with top-tier qualities in every aspect. Liu Qingchen is handsome in appearance and owns a family business. Though not comparable to the ultra-wealthy, he is undeniably a genuine high-quality, rich, and handsome man. Under such circumstances, his willingness to marry me was seen by everyone as an immense stroke of luck for me. For a time, public opinion shifted away from the GU group, and everyone praised him for his sense of responsibility, his loyalty, and his gratitude in not forgetting the support my father had once given him. After marriage, Liu Qingchen and I were deeply in love, and many people envied our relationship. In the first year of our marriage, at a banquet, when Mr. Zhong spoke disrespectfully to me, he immediately lost his temper, scolded Mr. Zhong, and forced him to apologize to me publicly. In the second year, to give me an unforgettable birthday. He spent a fortune and countless days and nights personally crafting an exquisite necklace for me. In the third year, while we were out traveling, when I got tired from walking, he carried me through the long streets, drawing countless envious glances from others. In the fifth year, he had a mistress outside. The mistress was named Li Xinyi, one of his employees and also his university alumna. I first met him at the year-end party of Liu Qingchen's company last year. I didn't want to go initially, but Mrs. Liu insisted on joining the fun, saying there's no such thing as a wife who never shows her face at her husband's company. That day, a female employee performed a solo dance at the annual party, her movements so alluring that she stunned everyone. The employee sitting next to me whispered, "Do you know who she is? She's actually an alumni of President Liu, and rumored to be the campus belle back then." I heard President Liu pursued her relentlessly, but she turned him down. After her father went bankrupt, she returned to China to work and somehow ended up in Mr. Liu's company. What a pity. Mr. Liu is already married. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Liu quickly scolded, "Mr. Liu and his wife are very much in love. Don't talk nonsense." I cracked melon seeds silently without saying a word. After the performance, Xinyi walked up to me in an expensive dance costume, swaying gracefully with each step. She bowed very politely and said in a sweet, coquettish voice, "You must be President Liu's wife, I presume. Seeing you today, you truly stand out from the crowd." After speaking, she tilted her head to look at me, a meaningful smile playing at the corners of her lips, her eyes revealing a mix of smugness and resentment. A few male business partners attending the annual conference let out low chuckles, clearly waiting to see some drama unfold. I immediately picked up a plate of fruit from the side. "Here's your reward, off you go." Li Xinyi was momentarily stunned, her smile turning somewhat awkward. She glanced at Liu Qingchen not far away, then took the fruit platter and softly said, "Thank you, Mrs. Liu." After that, she carried the fruit platter and quietly sat down in the staff seating area, saying nothing more. Mrs. Liu was quite puzzled. From such a distance, why did she specifically come over to greet you? I took a sip of red wine and smiled, saying, perhaps she thinks she shares a similar experience with me, so she wanted to get closer. At this very moment, the room was extremely quiet. After a moment of silence, Liu Qingchen finally snapped back to reality. He shook the divorce agreement in his hand, his face wearing a half-smile. "Shusha, why the sudden decision to divorce?" "You need to explain this clearly," he said. I replied calmly, "When you proposed, you promised in front of my father that I would be your only wife for life, with no divided loyalties. Now that you've broken that promise, our marriage has reached its end." Liu Qingchen looked me up and down with an expression of disbelief. "You know everything. Is it because of Li Xinyi?" I nodded. "I know everything." He took a deep breath, let out a long sigh, and spoke calmly. "It's good that you know. Saves me from being on edge all the time. Xinyi, her family suddenly encountered misfortune, and I feel deeply sympathetic towards her. Besides, she was my college crush. when she came to me, I couldn't possibly refuse her. Shusha, this is human nature. As he spoke, he observed my reaction. Seeing my expressionless face, he frowned slightly and continued, she knows about my promise to you and never intends to take your place. You are my wife, and Cinny will live outside. I'll visit her on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and come home to accompany you on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I took a sharp breath. No need for such trouble. Wouldn't it be better if you just signed this divorce agreement and married her properly? Lu Qingchen's face immediately darkened. I've always considered our marital bond and never brought her home. We're both women. How can you be so intolerant? I sneered. That new employee you hired, with zero work experience, is now your chief secretary. Isn't her name Cinny? On my birthday, you went on a date with her, which is why you came back so late, and that business trip for a month, wasn't that actually your honeymoon with her? And this bag, I remember it was sold as a set of two, one limited edition and one regular edition. The limited edition one was probably given to her, wasn't it? Lu Qingchen's face grew increasingly grim, and he suddenly roared, how many wealthy men don't have affairs? You haven't had a child in 5 years, and I have to think about the future of the Lu family. Am I wrong? Haven't I treated you well these years, over such a trivial matter? You want a divorce? Where does that leave me? He fell silent for a moment, then suddenly let out a series of cold laughs. Are you really going to divorce me? Or are you just using the threat of divorce to provoke me, to solidify your position as the rightful wife? I despise women who resort to such tricks the most. Scheming and utterly detestable. Lu Qingchen's face was cold, making him seem almost unrecognizable. As he slammed the door and left, he glanced at me and sneered, if I really divorce you, will you lose your mind? The GU family has long been bankrupt. People should know their place. Do you still think you're that enviable wealthy heiress? Without me, you're nothing. After Lu Qingchen left, the house fell silent again. Aunt Kui thoughtfully brought me lily and lotus seed soup. Madam, have some tea to calm your mind. After taking a few sips, I went to the study to busy myself. A large stack of documents was piled on the desk in the study, with a letter at the very bottom. It was a document sent by the public security authorities 2 months ago. The document stated, after thorough investigation, it has been confirmed that Lu Huaixian is not suspected of bribing officials and is hereby acquitted. My father had already been released from prison and was taken abroad by my brother. I didn't tell Lu Qingchen because I wanted to give him a surprise. Ever since I discovered his infidelity a month ago, I felt there was no need to tell him. Lu Qingchen moved out. My mother-in-law demanded an explanation from me. She came to confront me aggressively, her face looking extremely unpleasant. Shusha, I originally thought that since you come from a wealthy family, you'd be magnanimous. Which is why I agreed to let Lu Qingchen marry you. But now you've actually forced him to move out. What kind of behavior is this? Her sister-in-law also chimed in, sneering, I really feel sorry for my brother. If he had married a woman whose family could support him back then, not only would he have better prospects, but he wouldn't have gone 5 years into marriage without a child either. My brother keeping a mistress, even if word got out, people would find it understandable. Sister-in-law, you should know your place. My mother-in-law paused, then continued, although your sister-in-law's words were harsh, she meant well for you. Qingchen is a man of deep affection. You haven't had a child in 5 years. If he divorced you, you'd be left with nothing. Now, he's just supporting another woman. He's already being kind to you. I took a sip of tea and glanced up at the mother and daughter dressed in all their finery before me. If it weren't for me marrying into this family, they wouldn't be living in such splendor now. Although the GU group was liquidated due to my father's incident, some assets were still preserved. That was the dowry my father specifically prepared for me. The jewelry alone was worth tens of millions. The reason my mother-in-law agreed to let me marry into the family back then was actually because the company urgently needed cash flow and required my dowry to keep things running. For this reason, in the past few years, Lu Qingchen's family treated me with some courtesy, but now that the Lu family's business is thriving more and more, they've started to have ideas about me. I set down the teacup and sneered, don't worry, even if Lu Qingchen's loving husband persona collapses, it won't be much of a loss, because he never had much value to begin with. The mother and son instantly flew into a rage. He has plenty of value. How dare you belittle him like that, sister-in-law? I advise you to be more generous. You know what kind of person my brother is. Don't end up losing face and having nothing left. I know they don't genuinely wish for me and Lu Qingchen to never divorce. They're just worried the divorce might divide the GU family's assets. Lu Qingchen has been building a loving husband persona all these years, gaining a large following of fans. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I prioritize my family, not romantic fantasies, what's rightfully mine. I won't give up a single bit. My sister-in-law was right about one thing. Lu Qingchen is an impulsive person. After he moved out, he simply made his relationship with Li Xinyi public. He actively sought media interviews, portraying me as a dull, rigid, and domineering woman. Li Xinyi, on the other hand, is an interesting, charismatic, and sexy girl, and he didn't want to miss out on her again. Lu Qingchen knows how to leverage public opinion, although his loving husband persona no longer holds up. He remains a good man. Everyone is scolding me for being ungrateful, saying I have bad luck. Li Xinyi is no longer his little secretary. She no longer has to engage in secret affairs or be the universally despised, unmentionable mistress. She wears high-end clothes, carries limited edition handbags, drives luxury cars, lives in a villa worth hundreds of millions, and is seen everywhere with Lu Qingchen, attending various social events. Because she can dance, has a hot figure, and knows how to say the right things at the right time, she quickly became the center of attention. She was often praised. Miss Li and President Lu, a perfect match of talent and beauty, truly a match made in heaven. During this time, Lu Qingchen did not return home again. I called him over and over again to urge him to sign the divorce agreement. He said he needed a little more time. I knew he was dragging his feet about the divorce, simply because he was afraid I would take his assets. You have 3 more days, or I'll submit the evidence of your affair directly to the court. Shusha. Since you're so resolute, then let's divorce. Don't regret it. 3 days later, Lu Qingchen appeared as expected and signed the divorce agreement without hesitation, under the lawyer's witness. We completed the division of marital assets. Lu Qingchen was far more cunning than I had imagined. It turns out that ever since he cheated, he had been secretly transferring hundreds of millions in assets. Fortunately, I also had a backup plan. During the divorce proceedings, I discovered the portion of assets he had transferred. Although it was only tens of millions, furious and ashamed, he lashed out, "Gu Shusha. I never thought you'd be so money-grubbing, chasing after such a small amount. You're the one at fault, so I should get a larger share of the property." After my persistent arguments, I was originally supposed to receive only 5 million in assets, but ultimately ended up with 30 million. Didn't expect that. Did you? In the end, you only got this much. Li Xinyi stood by, looking at me with smug satisfaction. Lu Qingchen put his arm around her and spoke to me in a condescending tone. I told you long ago that you wouldn't get much from the divorce. I rolled my eyes at him and stopped paying him any attention. Little did he know, the GU group had already made a comeback. Divorcing me would be a huge loss for him. A scumbag like him doesn't deserve such a good life. He should go bankrupt. After the divorce, father and elder brother also returned to the country. They relocated most of their business operations back, since father kept a low profile after returning. Few knew that the now famous Chaoyang Group was once the GU family group. Moreover, my brother had been raised overseas since childhood, secretly protected as the heir to the family business. So few people abroad knew he was Gu Huaishen's son. Even Lu Qingchen had never met him, only knowing that I had a brother living abroad. The reason Lu Qingchen's business thrived in recent years was entirely due to my brother's covert support, after the divorce, to stand up for me. My brother instructed the suppliers under him to cut off all cooperation with Lu Qingchen. The company's business dropped by more than half in a short time, and Lu Qingchen panicked. He asked around and somehow got my brother's address, then showed up at the door with gifts in hand. "Shusha, he's outside. Do you want to come out and see him?" My brother asked for my opinion with concern. I shook my head. "No, I'm not a confused person. The group's interests come first. If he can't bring more benefits than others, Why choose him? My brother nodded with relief. It's good that you've let it go. With that, he had someone send Lu Qingchen away. After that, for several days in a row, Lu Qingchen came to the door with gifts. Can I see President GU? Even just for 3 minutes would be fine. It's all right, I'll just wait here. You all go about your business. All sorts of sweet talk and every possible method were exhausted, all just to get a chance to see my brother. Who would have thought that the proud Lu Qingchen would have such a groveling side to him? To avoid his constant visits that annoyed me, my brother quickly handled the matter. Instead of revealing our sibling relationship, he sent an assistant to Lu Qingchen's company to explain the reasons for terminating the collaboration. Lu Qingchen recognized the gap between himself and other partners and accepted it wholeheartedly. He stopped coming to my brother's office after that. When I saw Lu Qingchen again, I was just walking out of the VIP service area at the Shia luxury store. He was accompanying Li Xinyi as she picked out clothes in the store. Presumably for some important event, Li Xinyi was cheerfully selecting limited edition dresses one by one, asking the sales assistant beside her with particular attention to detail. Meanwhile, Lu Qingchen beside her was frowning slightly, seeming somewhat absent-minded, as if troubled by something. Hearing the sound, both of them turned to look at me simultaneously. Lu Qingchen, upon seeing me, froze for a moment, his face filled with surprise. What are you doing here? Shia Luxury Store is the most high-end and expensive dress shop in the province, and its clientele typically consists of people with significant status and wealth. As for the VIP service area of Shia Luxury Store, it's said that only celebrities and major entrepreneurs frequent it. Oh, isn't this the former Mrs. Lu? What a coincidence. Li Xinyi greeted me with a provocative tone. I glanced at her without responding, then turned to the salesperson following me and said, "Wrap up the outfit I just tried on." The salesperson replied very respectfully, "Certainly." Li Xinyi, seeing that I was ignoring her, got a little angry and pointed at the dress I had chosen, saying, "This one, I'm buying it." I looked up and met her gaze. She wore a smug expression. "You've already given me your husband. Surely you wouldn't be so petty over a mere dress, would you?" I said with a stern expression. "It's not about being stingy. The question is, can you even afford this dress?" Lu Qingchen's face darkened, whether because I had been ignoring his presence or because our conversation had struck a nerve. He coldly retorted, "With me here, how could she not afford it?" Li Xinyi happily linked arms with Lu Qingchen and cooed, "Thank you, darling." The salesperson saw me nod and blurted out, "That'll be 5 million. Will you be paying by card, sir?" 5 million. Li Xinyi was stunned. Lu Qingchen also showed an expression of disbelief. "You should know, the most expensive clothes he usually buys cost no more than a few $100,000. Sir, would you like to buy it?" "Buy it?" Lu Qingchen glanced at me and gritted his teeth. "Isn't there a discount in the store? Can I get 20% off this item?" The salesperson didn't answer immediately, instead looking at me. I nodded, yes. Li Xinyi was a bit unhappy. "She's just a customer. Why are you asking her?" The salesperson quickly explained, "Whether we can offer a discount, of course, depends on the boss's opinion." Li Xinyi widened her eyes. "She's the boss?" Lu Qingchen froze, looking at me with a face full of shock. How is that possible? Could she have become someone's mistress? I slapped Lu Qingchen across the face. I couldn't be bothered to explain anymore. "You." Li Xinyi watched my retreating figure. Too angry to speak. Chaoyang Group's new product launch event. My brother invited many big names from the business world to attend. My sister-in-law advised me to dress more formally, but considering I had other work to handle after the press conference and didn't want the hassle of changing clothes later, I simply wore an ordinary dress. At the venue, I was chatting with Mrs. Song when someone suddenly pushed me, nearly spilling the red wine in my hand onto her. The person who pushed me spoke up. "That dress must be expensive, right? Good thing Mrs. Song's clothes weren't stained, otherwise, someone else's husband would have to pay for it." That exaggerated baby voice sounded somewhat familiar. I turned my head and saw Li Xinyi wearing that 5 million yuan red dress. A week without seeing her has only made her more detestable. Someone else's husband. Shusha. Didn't you break up with that guy a while ago? Mrs. Song gave the woman in front of her a wary glance, then pulled me behind her. Before I could answer, Lee Sinny laughed and said, "Dumped so soon, couldn't have been caught by someone else's wife, could it? No wonder you're dressed so plainly now. Shusha is single now, you're the one who's the other woman." Mrs. Song loudly defended me. Everyone around turned to look. Mrs. Liu and Mrs. Wang, who often used to have tea with me, also came over and started accusing Lee Sinny one after another. Lee Sinny froze for a moment, at a loss for words. I stood by coldly observing. Lee Sinny saw me as a down-and-out woman with no power or influence, someone who could only survive by clinging to a man. She thought I had become a mistress and then been abandoned. Mrs. Song snorted disdainfully. "Don't think I don't know. It was you who pushed Shusha just now, nearly staining my dress. Could you even afford to compensate if it got ruined? I also know you're a mistress who latched onto a man whose company is about to go bankrupt. Clearly, you're strapped for cash." Lee Sinny's eyes were red with tears. Hearing the commotion, her brother walked over. "What happened?" Mrs. Song was the first to recount the whole incident. My brother frowned, staring at Lee Sinny with a very firm tone. "Apologize." Lu Qingchen needed my brother's help, so she didn't dare to offend him easily. She ignored her own pride, gritted her teeth, and forced out the words, "I'm sorry." Perhaps she still felt a bit unwilling and thought about how my brother was no longer working with Lu Qingchen. So, she continued, "Mr. Gu, does your wife know you're keeping a mistress outside, and this one here is even divorced?" My brother sneered, "My wife is right over there, go tell her and see what she says." The onlookers also gave her a disdainful look before walking away. After exchanging a few pleasantries with the guests, I stayed close to my brother the whole time. After hitting a wall with my brother, Lee Sinny kept actively engaging with others, seeking collaboration opportunities. But the moment people heard it was Lu Qingchen's company, they wouldn't give her a chance. No one was willing to accept her business card either. This was probably Lee Sinny's most frustrating social experience. Even though she wore the most expensive gown at the event, no one paid her any attention. Seeing Lu Qingchen approaching, she burst into tears and vented her frustrations at him. Then, Lu Qingchen walked towards me. My brother frowned deeply. "I didn't invite him. Why is he here? Should we kick him and Lee Sinny out?" "No need. Brother, let me see what is up to first." My brother tactfully walked away. Lu Qingchen then came up to me. He looked somewhat exhausted. It seemed the company hadn't been doing well lately. "Is this the reason you got divorced?" I asked in confusion. "What reason?" "Being the other woman." I remained silent. If that's what he thinks, then so be it. I no longer feel like explaining. He looked at me with disdain. "Isn't being my wife better than being someone else's mistress? Are you out of your mind?" I wanted to see his reaction, so I went along with his words. "It's not so bad, actually. I'm quite happy." He got a bit agitated and growled, "Don't degrade yourself like this. Truth is, I still have some feelings for you. Come back to me, and you'll still be the first wife." I was instantly torn between laughter and tears. He paused, then continued, "Someone as capable as Gu Bo, how could he possibly abandon his wife for a divorced woman like you? Stop dreaming. Come back to me and remarry, and you'll still be the first wife." Lu Qingchen appeared to be begging for reconciliation, but he had no intention of giving up his fantasy of having both women. I felt a wave of disgust. "Tell him straight, Gu Bo is my brother. Besides, there's absolutely no chance between you and me. In the past few years, your company was able to grow rapidly only because of my brother's silent support. Most of your products didn't actually meet the requirements. It was my brother who arranged for others to rework them. Several times when you delayed the project deadlines, it was my brother who quietly cleaned up your mess. You keep saying you love me, yet you went looking for another woman and even transferred assets. Is this how you show your love?" Lu Qingchen's face darkened. "He's really your brother. As for the products, I later handed them over to Sinny for control. I never expected." I didn't want to hear him continue, so I made an excuse and walked away. The new product launch officially began. My brother took the stage to deliver his speech, and thunderous applause filled the venue. President Gu is truly a business prodigy, achieving such success at such a young age. His sister's capabilities are also not to be underestimated. I heard this new product is under her responsibility. The one who's been following him around just now is his sister, right? Truly talented and beautiful. Everyone listened to the speech while whispering their admiration in low voices. Lee Sinny's expression grew increasingly unpleasant. She stood up agitatedly and exclaimed loudly, "What sister? Clearly, she's the other woman." People around her cast disdainful glances her way, as if looking at a madwoman. Lu Qingchen, afraid she might say something else, pressed her down into her seat. "Are you crazy? What are you doing? Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough?" Lee Sinny had never heard Lu Qingchen speak to her so harshly before. She was momentarily too frightened to say another word, her eyes reddening with grievance. My brother glared at her, suppressing his anger. "Now, let's welcome my dear sister, Jiyu Shisha, to the stage for her speech." As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd erupted in an uproar. "I told you she was President Gu's sister. That woman is really sick, always calling her a mistress. Now she's been proven wrong." Lee Sinny was completely stunned, exclaiming, "Impossible." Lu Qingchen's expression was extremely complex. I gracefully walked onto the stage and shared the design philosophy of this new product, as well as my insights on the market. The venue erupted with thunderous applause once again. Lu Qingchen's gaze at me was a mix of admiration, surprise, guilt, and regret, muttering softly, "I never expected you to have this side to you." In his eyes, I'm just a useless housewife who only knows how to manage household chores every day. He forgot that I graduated with a degree in economics from a top-tier university. He never knew how much I struggled internally because of his words. "You take care of the home, I'll handle the outside world, I'll work to support you." Before I finally agreed to become a housewife, now, he no longer matters to me at all. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but express my feelings. "Here, I'd like to thank my ex-husband, Mr. Lu Qingchen. If it weren't for him, I might still be a housewife. Also, I'm not some big shot's mistress. Lee Sinny is the actual mistress." I originally intended to spare them some dignity, but since Lee Sinny kept provoking me repeatedly, I no longer need to be polite. Once these words were spoken, anyone looking to collaborate with Chaoyang Group would no longer work with Lu Qingchen and his associates. Lu Qingchen's company will likely face even greater difficulties moving forward. "It's my fault. Lee Sinny meant no harm to you, she just misunderstood you. Please don't make things hard for her either." Lu Qingchen tried to salvage some dignity. Daily updates pushpin WeChat, MMJH*SS12341. "Difficult, isn't what I said the truth?" I sneered. Lee Sinny suddenly remembered something and burst into laughter. "So what if a mistress rises to power? At least it's better than having a father who committed a crime. Right, aren't you all afraid that one day they might follow in his father's footsteps if you collaborate with them?" At that moment, my father walked out from backstage. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, he recounted how he was framed and how he was ultimately acquitted. Lu Qingchen, burdened with guilt, couldn't bring himself to meet my father's eyes from start to finish, because he knew all too well that if he had just stepped forward at the time, my father could have been cleared of suspicion. But he didn't want to offend the very person who had framed him and was currently collaborating with him. So he chose to turn a blind eye. At this moment, I have completely seen Lu Qingchen's true colors. "Shusha, let me explain." Before he could finish speaking, I had him and Lee Sinny thrown out. I had been too lenient before. Now, the real revenge has just begun. 3 days later, I sent Lu Qingchen a video. In the video, Lee Sinny was dressed provocatively with a number 5 tag on her waist, being held by a fat, big-headed foreign man in his 60s while drinking at a KTV. Then the two of them chatted and laughed as they headed to a nearby love hotel together. After sending it, I blocked him again. Not long after, I heard that Lu Qingchen and Lee Sinny had broken up. Lee Sinny pleaded desperately, so Lu Qingchen didn't drive her away and let her stay to work at the company. Lee Sinny went to great lengths to win back Lu Qingchen, even going so far as to compromise herself to help him secure business deals. Soon after, she was beaten up at the company by the wives of several executives. Lee Sinny was left with a bruised and swollen face, nearly disfigured from the scratches. Unwilling to accept defeat, she resorted to faking a pregnancy to force Lu Qingchen into marriage, hoping to salvage some of her reputation. Lu Qingchen had grown utterly disgusted with her, claiming the child wasn't his. Their argument escalated into a physical altercation, with Li Xinyi being violently knocked to the ground. Exposing her fake pregnancy in the process, Lu Qingchen expelled Li Xinyi from the company and personally took over all her responsibilities. He worked tirelessly every day to secure business deals, but his efforts yielded little to no results. Lu Qingchen came to my company to see me. He was holding flowers and knelt down on one knee. He asked me to give him another chance, saying he knew he was wrong. Shusha, I was really wrong. I misjudged that person. Li Xinyi has already been driven away by me. Please come back. I promise to be good to you and only you for the rest of my life. His so-called deep affection is truly laughable. Seeing my resolute attitude, he changed his tune. Thanks to my brother's efforts, our father was cleared of suspicion for bribing officials, and the GU group made a comeback. Soon to be listed in Beijing. I'm leaving. You brought all of this upon yourself. He didn't know it was me who shorted his company during his conflict with Li Xinyi. I poached all the technical backbones from his company, and with a 5-point higher profit margin, I snatched away the few remaining clients he had. I said coldly, if you're willing, I'll offer 2 million to acquire your company. Fine, give me 2 million, and the company will have nothing to do with me from now on. Soon, I had someone take care of the procedures. Before leaving, he said with tears in his eyes, how did I end up in such a situation? I looked up at him and said, he who wrongs his wife shall find no wealth. From then on, Lu Qingchen vanished from my world. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.